Good evening, LucifeRApollo here. Welcome to the second part of the podcast, A Task to Immortality, held on July 13, 2023, with our friends of Landing Podcast server. Enjoy. Okay, so since we have so many people, I'm just going to ask the question one last time, and whoever wants to comment, they can. So the question is, do you see immortality as a burden or a gift? Does anybody else want to add the comment or answer the question before we move on to the next question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just briefly.
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead,
No,
Professional
I just
Patch.
think it's a responsibility, because if you keep on doing it, then lots of souls are depending on you for guidance or for imagination or for some kind of creating of new things.
Mm-hmm.
So you can try, but if you succeed, it will become your life.
Professional Patch, you were going to say?
All right. Yeah. So this is actually, I keep telling you guys to read The Sandman. This is actually in the story. There's a character where Dream and his sister Death are in a bar. They hear a guy talking about how he wants to live forever. They basically give this guy the ability to live forever. You know, they're like, anytime you want to opt out, you can opt out. It's exactly what we're talking about right now. This guy's from like 1200, 1200 AD, approximately. And they say the only thing you got to do is just come back to this bar every 100 years and have a drink with me, and we'll talk and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
And so the guy signs up for this deal. He's like, all right, yeah, shit, fuck, I'm down. So comes back in 100 years, asks him how he's doing. And he's like, yeah, man, it's going great. Like, it's crazy, I'm going through all this stuff. A lot of people have died, but I'm still going. I'm still here. I'm figuring out new stuff. The universe is moving on, and I've had 2 wives already, and and then he comes back.
That's exactly how I feel. Had 2 wives. Everyone I've known has died, and so one day you'll just find me in a bar sitting there, like, yeah, I'm the last human left alive.
Montala, what do you have? Do you have anything to say about this? Do you see immortality as a burden or a gift? Montala?
My bad, man. I actually wasn't done with the story though. But he comes back 100 years later again, and he's like, "How are you doing?" And he's like, "Terrible. I hate this. Everybody. This shit sucks. Everything's falling apart. All my money invested, I lost everything. This shit sucks. It's terrible." And he's like, "Do you want to opt out? Do you want to die?" He's like, "Not yet, man. We'll see. We'll see in 100 years. Like, I'm not 100% certain yet." The guy comes back again, and now he's higher than he's ever been. He's basically connected with royalty. He's got all these connections. He's built all this stuff. He's had to change his identity a couple times because people keep figuring out that this guy's not growing older and stuff. But he's doing amazing for himself.
Yeah.
And
that's Rip Van Winkle. That's almost
it
exactly
keeps going like this. It keeps going like this until eventually, at the end of the story, the guy's lived to modern day. He's basically in the 1980s when the story was written. And they come at him again. Do you want to die? And it's a totally different situation at the end, but once again he turns it down and decides to keep going because he's like, anything can happen. The world keeps changing. Who knows?
Exactly.
And that's all I have to say.
Like, the reason that I choose to accept this reality, and the reason that if I was in that situation and someone told me, are you willing to live forever? I would say yes, not because I actually want to exist forever, but because I know that if I took that upon myself, I would be taking bad experiences and bad times off of other people. Like, I know that if I took it upon myself to just see existence out to the end, like really see the hard end of all consciousness, like the time when everything is gone, everything that you recognize as familiar is gone. There's nothing else that exists that's that has any connection to your own life, I'm willing to do that to myself because I know that if I do that, it means that other people won't have to deal with that.
Okay.
Oh, and the thing
Let's
about
go to
living for
Wantala. I was going to ask her. Wantala, do you see immortality as a burden or a gift?
Like, yeah, I could very easily see how it could become burden and a torture, almost more easily than it become a gift.
Okay.
And a couple of people have mentioned, the crossing over to the other side in higher dimensions. And I think that you see this even in human lifetime. You see the people that have lived 100 years, and so even not even necessarily the older people, but you tend to see that the longer people go on, the more they yearn to move on to another side. And I think that as you lived for hundreds, thousands, millions of years, that it would become a deeper and deeper longing. And also, it depends, yeah, like you said, on is everyone immortal? To what extent is this immortality? And yeah, how static is the world around you? Are you basically just living in this box, this unchanging environment, just waiting for the newest media to drop? I could see that becoming a torture,
Yeah.
But
even in
what
the
we're
sense of
talking,
just biological mortality.
but what we're talking
What
I'm
was that?
about is that.
already living in that hell. Like, goddamn, I'm only 33 years old, and already most of my friends are dead. My parents are dead. Everyone's dead, and goddamn.
But
yeah,
but
what
the
ends up
question is,
happening
yeah, look,
is that you
yeah,
build stronger relationships with places, even like with mountains or with art or with tradition, because people just pass you by and they vanish. So you walk out into the mountains and you think like a mountain, you see like a mountain, you feel like a mountain or like an ancient tombstone or whatever. So it changes your relationship to everybody and to everything. And that is also as it should be. That's part of the experience and the challenge.
all right. So let's move to the
Well,
next question. This question is interesting and strange.
oh, one
Do
second,
yes.
Lucy. If you'll just humor me for a second, I
Uh-huh.
want to bless the situation here. I have my mom's pipe
Okay.
here. I only pull this out on very special occasions, but with us doing this podcast today, I want to put good energy in the air. So I'll show you guys, whoever can see on the camera, I'll show you guys here. This is my mother's pipe.
Okay.
I'm not going to light it, but I'm just going to show you. See.
Okay.
So, just so you guys know, this is a very blessed podcast.
All right. Thank you. So this is the next question. Do we age because we believe we must age? Now let me add some story with this question. What if we had like 200 babies and we enclose them in like a bubble where they don't have access to anything that's going on in the world? Only scientists, technicians, people that are specialized. And they are never allowed to know that there is aging disease, that people grow old. Would those children age? You might say, well, animals do not know that they're supposed to age, and they still age. But what if we have an influence on the animals, the plants, and the universe to go into entropy? What if we didn't know that? What if we cause the aging because we believe we must age? So the question is, do we age because we believe we must age? Globaso? Globaso, do you want to? Well, let's move to Kylos. Kylos, what do you think of what I just told you?
I do think that you can definitely change the speed at which you age. I definitely think, because if you look at monks, like that spend their whole lives in prayer and all of that kind of stuff, like when they're very, very old, they are in very good health and they tend to like have a very different way of aging. So I definitely think that's a thing, but I don't think that it could make you immortal.
But what do you think will happen to those children if they never were introduced to aging, to disease, to decay. And they simply were told, you're going to live forever. Will their minds and the belief reinforce that reality?
See, the thing is, it would be a cruel experiment, but I think that there would be an effect. I just don't think it would be total immortality. I do think that it would cause a biological change because it's already been demonstrated, like what we expect does definitely change reality,
I mean, think
But
about it. It will be hundreds of kids, 200 kids, and each kid will be reinforced with each other that this is the reality, that we live forever. And they will not have any access to the exterior environment or influences, which means they will be contained within that reality. And so the idea will never be brought into them. So what do you think?
I'm not. Oh, go ahead, like.
No, I just this is like
Well,
the most.
let Carlos finish and then we move on with you too. Carlos?
The only thing I think I was gonna say was that, like, it's kind of been done in not exactly the same circumstances, but there are kids that are born into cults, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're raised on these cults beliefs from, age 0. They have no contact with anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, they're raised 100% in the environment of the beliefs of their cult. But, like, from what I've seen, that hasn't, caused their beliefs to manifest into being necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like take a look at this dog. This dog was completely born into the cult where he knows that Dylan standing alone is his master and ultimate provider.
You wanted to say something about this question? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you just post it in the most satanic way possible because you're forcing people to accept a cruel and unnatural fate. So
All
there's
right.
actually a movie about this one called The Island,
Uh-huh.
and it's about clones, and they're raised all alone, and they don't do anything, and they try not to age because they're just organ donors for the
Mm-hmm.
rich guy that had the clone made. So every time you come up into an artificial situation such as this, you really have to ask, well, somebody like that would probably not want to live. And that would not be the way to look for immortality. Because the moment they are let out of their chains, they're going to bang their head against the wall and kill themselves. So that is completely 180 from how you actually go towards immortality, which is monks, as Kylo said, spend years voluntarily saying, I want to achieve this, I want to do
Yeah,
this. And it's completely
like
different.
imagine a human being is so much stronger and smarter than a dog like this, and you could brainwash a human being to do your bidding.
Okay, I'll continue.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been, as Carlos said, there have been any number of experiments done. Yeah, there are a bunch of Hollywood actors that have been raised in cults, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But and you can have some very strong religions. You can have some very strong uh, financial incentives for people to turn out a certain
So,
way.
so the
It has
question
to
is,
connect with
will
nature. It can't be
like
against nature.
will the idea of the child not having the idea that he's going to age, will that cause an effect on his body? Will it stop
Oh no,
aging?
they will know it. They will instantly know it. Because
Mm-hmm.
if they don't see people older than themselves, that's unnatural. If they don't see people aging, that's unnatural. That's basically the origin story of the Buddha. He tried to cage the guy up so he wouldn't know that the
Mm-hmm.
world was the way it is, and he ended up going mad and escaping.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Eternal.
you just set up. That's how you create Buddhas. They will rebel against you.
That's an interesting take. Eternal Peacemonger. You want to add anything to the question? Eternal Peacemonger. Okay, let's move
Yeah,
to.
sorry. The Island was a great movie, and I really enjoyed the clothes, the uniforms that the clones wore.
Uh-huh. What do you think about the
That's it.
question? Okay,
I
Mr.
forgot the question.
The question was, do we age because we believe we must age? Is it a belief system that
Oh,
causes to age?
I would expand it. I would say, is that true about anything? Right?
Mhm.
Like, how does anything work? Are these just stories we tell each other, or is it actually a fundamental law of the universe?
Okay, Mr. Nobody, you haven't said much. You want to talk? Do we age because we believe we must age?
Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just say maybe.
Okay, so maybe it's a belief what causes age. Okay, professional patch, uh, your turn. Talk to us about this. You have spoken a lot of interest and intelligent answers. Professional patch. Okay, it's not answering. Bulky. Bulky. Okay, so do we age because we believe we must age? Is it a mental thinking, a belief that causes us to age, or is something else?
It's probably a program of some kind.
But do
Or
we age because we? Yeah.
sin. I mean, evil. It corrupts you. It steals energy from you and exhausts you, basically.
But my question is, do we age because we believe we must age? Is it a belief that causes aging?
Hold on. Is it our belief that causes aging? Is that what you said?
No, no. Do we age because we believe we must age? Meaning that the belief system we have causes aging?
Oh, so you think that? No. I think it's because of. I don't know. Maybe if you believed it enough, you could slow it down. But I think you still would. It's just like a directive here.
Did you hear the story I told them about the babies being enclosed in a bubble, or an environment where they had no access to information of aging, disease, and death? And they were told that they will grow up into adults, but they will live forever. Will
Hmm.
they reflect that belief and actually prevent or decrease aging by not introducing the idea of death, of aging, of disease?
So you're saying they put children in a enclosed environment where they did not have the
Mm,
understand what aging is, and you're saying they did not age?
no, no, no. I'm saying that there's a supposition that if we put children inside an environment and we were not told them, and we did not tell them that there is aging, there is death, there is nothing like that, will they age?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
But I think that if you were to live a life that was perfect and you never did anything wrong, sort of like those saints, then there would not be the same kind of process. But you can see sometimes these people who are really evil, they do really evil shit all the time. They don't look the same. They look desiccated or something. So there's an energy exchange going on, and there's like all of these other entities out there. And, you know,
So, Valky, just based off of what you said right there, would you support me in that assertion that physiological uh, things can be observed and you can make assumptions about people's mental state by what they look like? I believe that. I
I
feel
mean,
like
I would
I think
100%, but yeah,
less
there's a specter
it's
of it out
less
there.
what
You
they
can see
look like
someone
and more like
under.
oh sorry, I'm
Okay, I was
sorry.
talking
I
to somebody
okay,
about.
so I'm like I just jumped into this because I was outside, but honestly, people who are very evil are usually very ugly.
Yeah, because usually they're under the influence of something and it takes their energy and it like desiccates them.
All right,
So you can
Balky.
definitely see it.
I've never met a beautiful person who was very evil.
Let's
Yeah,
move on
it's
to
definitely causes some sort of energetic change. I can definitely see it on that.
let's move on to Weevil. Weevil, do we age because we believe we must age?
Well, isn't aging itself
No.
a social
Dylan,
concept? I mean, even the concept of aging is
Ay,
something
Dylan,
okay.
that's
Dylan, let her answer, please. Weevil.
Well, you need to age in order to mature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so basically, aging is needed. Otherwise, how do you
But
grow?
but let's say the children are,
Hmm?
let's say they never introduced to the idea of death, and they will grow up into adults, but they are not aware of that. They are not aware of aging. Will they still age?
Of course, they will.
You think so?
Yeah, it's in your genetic programming,
But what if
aging.
we can alter the genetic
It's
programming?
normal.
But what if we can alter the genetic programming by our beliefs?
Okay, so maybe you are slowing it down. Maybe you are altering it by this. But do you think that you can stop it at a certain age, or what's your point in this?
Basically, what I'm asking is, do we age into old age because we believe we must, because society and environment reinforces the idea that we must? That's basically what I'm asking.
No, not because of that. Look around you in nature. Things are aging because they think that they are aging. No, it's normal to age in order to provide a circle of birthing and rebirthing things.
But that's what I mentioned in
You
the
know?
beginning, that
yeah,
what
like
if
I
we,
would just want to
yeah,
add something onto what Wu Wei was saying, is
yeah,
that like I just want to take something from a popular movie that really explains this well. You know, there's a scene from the Rocky movies where his trainer, the old man, in real life he was actually in his 90s, like an old man ready, like he's on his deathbed. And
hmm,
there's a scene where he talks to Rocky, like a boxer, and he tells him, you know, Rock, like I'm like you die, he says you die because you don't want to live anymore. And he says that seeing someone young like him gives him the motivation to keep living. And he says, you know, when you get to a certain age, you lose everything. Everything you know disappears, all your loved ones and such. But motivation is the only thing that can keep you alive. The motivation to see another day, motivation to feel like there's people that are still going to fight for, you know, what you believe in. And that's my motivation. That's how I keep living, is I know that there's people younger than me that are trying to do what we tried to do, you know, do podcasts, talk, uh, spread information that is not readily available.
now let's move on to the next question because we're running out of time. I'm gonna ask the next question and then two more questions and that's it. Everything dies in this world. Could it mean that this world is not real? Could it mean that based that we have mortality, could that actually mean that this world is not real? Question mark. Is this world real and that's or not real? That's why we die.
I personally believe this world is not real in the real sense of the word real,
Hmm.
And I think it has a certain uh, impermanence to it, which is the encouragement for death. So it's like, I'm going to use a video game analogy. If we're all higher beings playing the video game of life as we know it,
Hmm.
um, there comes a point where you got to put down the controller, take off the headset, and go about your real day. So I would say that the whole that we experience is not real, and our entire 80-year lifespan might just be one gaming session of a higher being
You
um,
know,
in
I
some other
agree.
higher realm.
I agree
I kind
because
of
how
want to
how can you
expand
do
on
that?
that. real quick.
Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, like as he was saying, like most like religions and science right now both predict that this is a simulation and not like a real, you know what I mean, real in the absolute sense of the word. So like there's a lot of credence behind that. So like back to the immortality thing, it's like imagine if you had a VR headset on and somebody asked you in that VR world, do you want to keep this headset on forever? Would you still say yes? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like you can only be in the simulation for so long before it becomes not as interesting, not as fresh. And maybe the next day you put on the headset and play in the simulation of this life. Maybe you want to play as a jellyfish or as an eagle or as a lion or something. And that
So,
idea of endless novelty is more important than making, one character live 1,000 years or something.
so the point that there is dead means that maybe this world is not real, because something that is real, I imagine that it will be more eternal, more permanent. No?
Well, I just want to jump in just a second. Is that, in old yogic teachings, they do say that there is a reality, a base reality that is completely separate from our own experiences.
Okay. Question mark?
Use the term base reality. At the highest level of what is real, the thing that you could call real, I believe is somewhere without the flow of time, where everything is happening all at once,
Yeah.
and you can go into these lower dimensions, these lower, less real realities, in order to experience the flow of time and all the experiences that are granted by that nature of that reality.
Oh,
So to live forever in a impermanent reality where you're not supposed to linger longer than you should, would be to play the game incorrectly, to use the terms.
Yeah, like for me, like my idea of being someone, conscious entity that sees all these actions out to their end, is you're basically dooming yourself to be like the equivalent of a gray alien looking at your past self.
Carlos,
You
Carlos,
Okay, yes.
so let's continue with the question. Everything in this world dies. Could it mean that this world is not real? So keep going on that question.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I sort of answered already, but I don't think the world is real in the absolute sense of real. I believe that we are having an experience that is basically our consciousness is creating and generating this experience, but it's not like if nobody was conscious and nobody existed and nothing was alive, would this universe still be here? I believe absolutely not. I believe that the universe is a construct of our experience, not the other way around. So,
Yeah.
do I believe it's not really real? Yes, I do believe it's not really real.
So my second question for you is, why will eternity conspire to create a world where everything dies and suffers? I mean, why will all this energy and intelligence that flows into infinity conspire to create such limited world?
Well, let me give you a little example. Like, okay, let's say that you had a caveman and you had a computer monitor, right? And the actual hard drive was remote. It was stored in a completely different part of the building, so you have no access to it. So you show this caveman the monitor. The monitor has images on it, has music on it, has all these things, and this caveman has no idea how this works. And they take it apart and they see, oh, here's a power button. If I turn it off, it stops. And, like when it stops, like it must be gone because we can't see the image anymore on the screen. So it's like our consciousness is that monitor, that image on the screen. But like, is the actual information stored in the monitor? Absolutely not. It's in the hard drive, and the hard drive's somewhere else. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, like the monitor isn't eternal, but it's like all the information doesn't come from the monitor. It doesn't come from the brain. It doesn't come from. So it's like there is an eternal. Like eternal does exist. It's just not this particular, you know what I mean, experience.
Yeah. Yeah, eternity, like just to add in, eternity doesn't exist in life. like life the way that we experience it, eternity and stillness, and these concepts that are more idealistic, like perfect stillness and homogeneity and such, are only existent in the transcendental.
Okay, Dylan. Eternal Pismo, you want to answer the question? You want to talk, Eternal Pismo?
I'm just waiting.
All right, like, okay. So, everything in this world dies. Could it mean that this world
Hey,
is not
sorry
real?
about that. I couldn't
Okay.
unlock the phone.
All right, so,
You said everything in this world dies, so does that mean that everything in this world is fake?
could it mean that this world is not real and that's why everything deteriorates because this is just a temporary experience for some reason we do not understand?
Well, if all life comes to an end, would that mean that this world comes to an end?
It will. This universe will come to an end. I
But
believe.
that's all I have.
Yeah, because even if you live to the end of existence, you'll live to see things like the heat death of the universe, the running out of any energy that, to push along any kind of natural processes eventually runs out.
Continue, Eternal Pismo. Oh, Eternal Pismo. All right, like, go ahead. Talk to us.
Okay, this brings in a little experience, which is from when my grandfather died, not too long ago.
Yes.
And he lived to a great old age, but at the very end of his life, a business he had worked on all his life just cracked, and he had to sell it off, and it was terrible. And you can tell that that broke him. And then he died a few years later. So what I think is that the world of desire, which happens to be the planet Venus, is where all decisions for Earth are made. Such things as how long anybody will live, what they will want, what they will seek, what they will find, and this is where it plays out. And what Carlos was saying about the computer and the monitor really works. I mean, that's exactly how it's described in the ancient texts. So yeah, this planet Earth is a simulation, but it has to be taken seriously because there's constant accounting being made here for the purposes of that other world, which we see in dreams and which is perfectly real. It's just the next planet over. It's the same size as Earth. It's been worshipped by every culture ever as the morning and the evening star. So yeah, we're playing the remote monitor or the remote station of something incomprehensible and gigantic that happens over there. And it's all
Like,
part of a much larger system.
why will eternity conspire to create a world where everything here is born to die? I mean, why would you do that? Why will this universe do that?
But
Well,
see here,
you're
oh,
trying here to lure everybody who listens to you into a trick and into a lie, which is that they are not already immortal and that everything is wrong and they should be angry at it, which is always what the devil does. But everything
Okay.
here is impermanent because it's meant to grow. It's meant to, and life is the other side of death. Growth is the other side of decay. And this is the only way that you can have something like that. If you have an eternal planet of divine palaces and godly fountains and everything is perfect, which is the world of dreams and so on, you couldn't grow anything in it. Nothing would ever change. So you need a side B, a yin and yang, where something can grow and decay. And that's
Death
what
and
you're
life.
looking at.
yeah.
Okay.
So see, like what he was saying, we have, I've seen, there's people that have lives where they're young children born to families where things are peaceful and they live good lives, and there's not horror and death and abuse like there is with people like with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
don't think like any of that is an excuse for us to not try and improve on, you know what I mean, the world in general and make better living conditions and make a better world. Like I don't think any of the fact that, it's not real in the absolute sense. We should still continue trying to improve it. And then,
Yeah, like I don't just to throw this in there, I don't despair about my situation. I grew up with my mother and father who were very young people who were addicts. And so I grew up around households where there was a lot of drinking and violence and such. And I spend my time these days putting positive energy into the world and helping young people to take their own personal talents and be able to show them to people and be positive influences. That's my whole thing.
All right,
Yeah,
let's continue
and
with
if you ever
the.
look at tradition and traditional stable societies, they consider that birth and death are completely natural. And I once had in the same room this grandfather of mine and a baby who was his great grandson. And it's life and death are integrated, and they are all meant to work together. And that's how tradition and orderly societies always handle it. And it can be done, and it has been done for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Let's continue with Mr. Novari.
Uh,
Oh, you want to answer the question? We will. Let's do it.
yeah, because after this I will leave this chat, I think. So listen, eternity doesn't conspire to bring you a miserable world, you know? The universe, the world is as miserable as your perception is about it. Now everything is limited to your perception. So if you want to see it miserable, you will see it like that. Other than that, from when you're born and until you die, you are programmed morally, ethically, take it as you want, but you're programmed day by day. You know, even the so-called knowledge that you have, you know, it's only programming. Programming to make you see reality in a certain way and so on. If you don't have a moral code, for example, programmed already in you, you will not even perceive misery around or anything. You will think that it's pretty normal to be like that.
We will.
So,
My
what?
question I have is: this world real? I mean, does death means does the situation that death exists means that the world is not real, or
But
is it?
see, it doesn't
What?
even matter. It
Listen
doesn't
to
even
me.
matter whether
Dylan,
it's real because like what Wu is talking about are experiences where it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's about emotions.
but let her answer, please. We will.
So, everything is information.
Mm-hmm.
Information has two qualities, to be false or true. Depends on you how you see it, you know.
Yeah.
You give that quality to information of true or false, depending on your perception. What you want to be real, it will always be real. No?
Mm-hmm.
What you want to discard as untrue or lies or false, you will always discard it as such because of your way of thinking, way of perceiving things in a certain moment. What is true and real today can be false or a lie tomorrow.
Yeah. I was gonna say we almost done with the podcast, so just stay a few minutes. I will ask one. I will go through the last three people, and then we go ask. I'm gonna ask the last question, and that's it. So just wait another 15 minutes, and we're done.
Okay.
So, Mr.
Oh,
Novari, uh, would you like to answer the question? Everything in this world dies. Could it mean that this world is not real, Mr. Novari?
Uh, I don't think just because everything in this world dies, it means this world isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't even know necessarily if I believe that this world isn't real.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's just move on.
Professional Pat, you've been saying very deep things. Talk to me about this question. Professional Patch? Okay. The last Logos, you want to say anything about this question? The last Logos?
Oh, what question? Sorry.
The question is, everything in this world dies. Could it mean that this world is not real?
Oh, no, just because something dies doesn't mean the world's not real. I mean, there's so many layers to that things
Okay.
die. Even souls, man. Hopefully.
Okay. Balki, you want to say
Yeah.
anything about it? Balki, you want to say anything about the question? Balki? Okay, so let's move on to the last question, okay? And then we conclude. Let's say you finally have eternal life. What would you study? What would you try to invent? Now you have no limit of time, no limit of life. You have infinity. What would you do,
I w-
Carlos?
Did you say me?
Yeah, this is the last question.
I would probably start with learning literally everything possible, like about
Mm-hmm.
everything possible. I mean, I'd probably start out there. And after that, I suppose I would try to use what I've learned to create sort of an ideal world or a better world.
Would,
And I mean, if I could just do whatever I wanted all the time, I don't know. Like, of course, like there's a list of things that I would want to do, but
but
I
let's
don't
let's
know. That's
say
kind of a
let's
hard
say
question.
let's say right now you have eternal life, Carlos. What would you do? You have unlimited time to do as you like. What would your first step would be? What approach would you take? Go deep.
Start with someone else. Come back to me. I have to think about that.
Professional passion. Do you want to talk? Okay, Abel. I guess you don't want to give your opinion, right? You generally just quiet. Okay, Dylan. You have it, Dylan? No, he doesn't want to talk. Eternal
What's
Baseball?
the question?
Okay, Abel. So let's say you have
I
eternal life. You have eternal life. You don't have any limit of how long you can live. What would you
do I
study?
finally have do I finally have eternal life, or just do I have eternal?
You finally have it. You're finally free
So it was
from.
something I was aspiring.
No, you have eternal life. Let's say now you have eternal life. I just give you eternal life. What would you
Okay.
do with that life? What would you study? What would you invent? How would you live your life with infinite time?
Now, see, this is yeah. Okay. Um, I've been asked this, and this was after I went through some stuff that I went through that some of you may or may, which I'm not going to go into right now
yeah,
because it's
right.
not relevant. But I was asked the same thing. What would you do? And my answer was, and it's the same answer. And it's not, this doesn't mean that I am locked into this as a pact or as I'm granted this, granted powers, granted immortality for this reason. But this is what, after all of that, what I would
Well,
help people. And that's it.
but
That's all you
use
do. You
use your
help
imagination. I
people.
mean, would you not like to
You just
learn
help.
something, a skill?
You
Uh,
don't need to learn anything. You don't need to learn anything. You don't need to do anything. All you need to do is enjoy whatever it is, whatever this is, as much as you possibly can. Find as much
yeah.
enjoyment out of it as you possibly can
All
and
right.
help other people. And that's it. For me, and that's what
Dylan, do you want
that
to
I
talk
have a
now?
pact, a written signed contract pact with that. No.
Uh,
But yeah, if you're gonna, what else are you gonna do here
yeah.
in this?
Well, you have unlimited
You know,
time to
otherwise
learn.
you're going somewhere else. You'll have immortality. It won't be here. It
Mm-hmm.
won't be here. You know, it will be elsewhere. Um,
Uh,
at least from my experience, this is, you know, I don't know anything. I never read anything. I don't know any of it. You know, all I know is what I've experienced and how I've talked to people and what they've told me and their experiences, my shared experiences with people. Everything else, everything written in books is as about real as a movie. Everything in a movie is about as real as a book.
all right, Abel.
And
Well, good thing
I,
you were
there's my
finally.
speech. So there you go.
Well, I'm glad you finally give your
Thank
opinion.
you guys. Thank you for this. You know,
Sure.
it's really good and I really appreciate it, and it's awesome to see people do something like this and do it in a rational manner, you know. We're
Okay.
not all at each other's throats, you know, or anything. So it's good and I appreciate it, and it should be commended and
All right,
applauded.
Abel.
Like, thank
Dylan, do you want to say anything about this question? Dylan? All right. Eternal Pismon? This is the last question. You want to say anything?
I don't remember the question.
Okay, let me repeat it. So you now you have eternal life. What would you do with eternity? What would you study?
Oh,
What would you
uh,
achieve?
I would just probably take a nap, for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any plans. That's all I do
Just
with it.
sleep. All right. Lake, this is your last time opportunity to say anything interesting. What would you like to say? What would you do with eternity and immortality? Lake?
Give me a minute.
Well, while we wait, let's move with Mr. Novari. You know the question?
Okay, I got it. Sorry.
All right.
Well, I am already immortal, and what I am doing is reading a lot, finding a lot, seeing how I should be changing the world. And the whole nobody mythos is about this, about seizing your immortal power and your possibilities to do more with the world and to create more than has ever been before. And so you're already doing it. And Henry Ford even had an interview where he said, tell people that reincarnation happens so that they will understand that there is always another chance and more to do.
Would you invent anything? Would you journey anywhere in the universe? I mean, you have infinite time, infinite life. Won't you do something more than just that?
Yeah, of course, there's times for everything. I have often enjoyed things I did while dead.
I mean, you can spend 1,000 years or 10,000 years terraforming Mars. You have no limits of time. You can do anything. Do you understand the question?
What would you do as a soul?
Well, I will learn everything in this planet, and I would love to explore the universe. I'll probably build a spaceship and move into the universe. Just explore it. Maybe find a little planet for myself. Build a new reality there with new beings, maybe biological, artificial. Eventually, I will attempt to ascend into higher dimensions or to open the door into other universes. I think with unlimited time, you can create any type of technology that will allow you to access those universes. So for me, it will be a fantastic adventure of unlimited potential, where I can, journey into any reality I would dream of. Because we have infinite universes. Imagine where you can go. Imagine what you can invent. Imagine the type of entities you can create. You see, there's no limits. Anyway, Mr. Novari, you want to answer the question?
Sure. My first intuition was to say something along the lines of what Abel said, just help people try to make a better world. But I don't know. At times I wonder what that means. And as I was saying earlier, how like I feel death is necessary for life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sadness or suffering could be, or almost is, necessary for experiencing happiness. It gives you that context.
But I
So,
think that helping people is helping yourself first. If you're not able to develop yourself or help yourself, how can you help another person? So I think being doing what you like, helping yourself, develop yourself will be the first step to help other human beings grow, no?
maybe. Maybe I would see what people need and then learn that.
Okay.
I don't really. Yeah.
Do you want to answer the question, Logos?
Uh, what would I do with infinity power?
Yes, sir.
I would just hunt every other consciousness that has more like strength or authority than me and try to kill it. And then I would issue fairness into the system. It'd just be a fair universe, dude, after killing all the other motherfuckers for everyone else.
All right.
That's pretty much what it comes down to. War,
Uh,
destruction, and then fairness for so we don't have an unfair fucking universe like we have now.
so you want darkness to bring the light.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, pretty much bring the light, actually bring the light instead of lie to you. I don't care if it's so folded that the darkness is that much powerful, but if you're dying for something, you damn well better get a heaven concept rather than some sort of hell concept just because of where you stand. It pisses me off, is all.
Yeah.
I care about where your souls go because they're your consciousness. I feel it's like being a president, man. I'm up here running for you.
All right.
Yeah.
Balky, you want to say anything about the question? Would you like to answer it?
Repeat it again?
Okay, so the question is you have infinite life, infinite time. How would you
Yeah.
use it? What would you learn? What would you invent? Where would you go?
Well, I'd probably learn about technology type stuff, and I don't know, I'd want to find out about other dimensional type stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly trying to learn, and I would probably try to make it a better place so that people weren't oppressed.
What kind of dimension
Uh,
would you like to visit if you could?
the higher ones, not the
What kind of
lower
dimension?
ones.
I mean, you have there is probably multiverses where any reality is possible.
Yeah.
What kind of reality would you like to visit, see, and experience?
Um, I've seen some ones in my visions or dreams or whatever that are very nice. They're much prettier than here, where here it's like everything's green and blue, but in the other ones it's more like the light or something.
Okay.
Like I don't
Yes.
know. That it's prettier and there's not so much suffering. Like this place kind of feels like a wound sometimes. Like it's, you know, like there's a sickness in it. I'd like to get rid of it, but
With
most
infinite
people like
time,
sickness,
with
so it's a
infinite time,
problem.
you can arrange reality anywhere, any way you want. You can rearrange this entire planet and all biological systems into other type of systems. So there is no
Yeah.
limit. We will,
Well, there is limits. We are limited by like physics and laws of nature that are, written for this place,
but these
where other
limits
places
are
have different laws of physics and nature. But so we're limited only by that, I suppose. Physics.
okay.
And also we're of course limited by other people's stupidity. That's always a but yeah, I think I'd spend it learning things and trying to convince people not to love their own sickness.
Hmm.
That's what I would do with it.
We will. You want to answer the question? What would you do with infinite time, infinite life?
I will live
Sure.
every moment of it. But I will make a coffee. Then I will find a way to rewrite your reality so that I will be the only one living immortality forever and all the bullshit that you're saying, and you guys will go back to die after a certain amount of years, you know?
So you have this infinite power of time
Yeah,
and life, and you will just do negative
yeah,
things?
exactly. I will do your life miserable so that you have a motivation to live, you know?
All right, well, it's cool.
I feel like I got
Because,
skipped here. And I'm like, go ahead. I'll let her
Professional
finish.
patch, yeah, you got skip big.
Well,
Uh,
let her finish.
no, no. So we are almost at the last question. You have infinite life, infinite time. How would you use that resource?
you know,
I think
Lucy,
ultimately.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The thing is, sorry, just 1 minute.
Please.
All you guys, you are only focusing on yourselves, you know, to gather a lot of knowledge, a lot of what? Information. Information is changing at every moment. It's not a problem. Uh, or helping others. You don't even know if you're able to help yourself, honestly. But you're all thinking of helping others and to create such a beautiful, fair life, world, reality where no one is having any fucking pain in the ass, headache, anything, you know? What the fuck? Honestly, come to your senses. Is that life? You're
Profe-
limiting your own emotions, own perceptions to only a few things that you think that they are the great things. Oh man, I will play the bad guy in there and fuck your reality, you know?
All right, well.
Okay, you're
Remember
really
what
right.
misery is.
What makes you better is fighting against that. If we didn't have that struggle or the friction or whatever, it would not. I think we would decay or decompress. So I that's a really good
Exactly.
point. I appreciate that.
So I was
Mm.
asking you a few questions, Professional Patch, but you were not there.
Yeah,
Let me ask you
sorry, I
just a couple
got a
questions.
newborn baby.
Do we age because we believe we must age? In other words, is aging the process of a belief?
To some
In,
degree, I believe that it definitely is. I think that people who feel younger are younger for a longer period of time. They're able to keep their youth a little bit longer. I think a lot of it's in your mindset as far as this reality goes, not just aging, but like everything.
so what I was telling them about this. So the last question I was asking them, if you had infinite life, infinite time, what would you study? What would you try to invent? Where would you go? What kind of adventure would you engage in?
I think that I believe that if I got immortality and I knew that I was going to be immortal, that would be an entire journey unto itself. You know, I believe that, like the story I told before about the guy going through the different cycles every 100 years. I
Mhm.
think life is like that. That it's just a matter of going through cycles. You know, you'll have your ups and your downs. You'll experience great things and horrific things. But at the end of the day, it would just be like living a normal life, but forever.
Okay.
You'd still. I think that it would change your perception of time for sure. It would change the way that you see moment to moment interactions and situations because you'd see them so much that they'd kind of blur together. But I
Yeah,
think you'd be able to see greater patterns that we're unable to comprehend in our limited lifespan.
I agree. So now we're going to conclude the podcast. Does anybody else want
Oh,
to add or a comment or a final word?
could I just chuck in an idea into that
Sure.
last question, Mitch?
Yes, yes.
Um, don't know if I got skipped or whatever, but all good. I think if you had infinite life, you would
Hmm.
you would
do the same thing you're doing now, which is essentially cultivating knowledge and experience. You just have a different list of priorities on which to do it in, and you could observe it over longer time frames, and you could eventually do everything on that list without the threat of death knocking on your door at any moment.
Yeah.
So you might end up mastering every skill, learning everything there is to do in the world. You would solve the ecological problems. You would, eventually maybe put yourself as the emperor of the planet and lead humanity towards a golden age because you have all this knowledge and all this experience and wisdom to draw from, and you know best. But I think at the end of the day, once you've done everything on the list of things to do, there would only be one experience or area of knowledge of which you still crave and need to tick the final box on the to-do list, and that is the experience of death. So I think even if you're living forever and do everything, eventually you will still crave death and the experience it gives. And that is how you will end up. And I think if you do everything and live through all these epochs and ages, there will come a time where death is the only thing left on your list of things to do. So you will, you will hate yourself for the immortality.
Okay. Anybody else wants to add a final comment? Lake?
Yeah, I just found it really interesting that immortality is about putting together meaning. And the way you conducted this interview, you try to split meaning, you try to coerce, you try to limit, and you try to bring up hypotheticals. And so that tells you, with an abundance of evidence, that the devil doesn't actually want people to be immoral. He wants to fool them with mirrors so that they never realize that they are already living it.
All right. Mr. Novari or anybody else wants to leave a final positive comment to conclude the podcast? Professional Patch?
Nope, just saying I have a newborn 6-day-old baby.
Oh, well. Congratulations. All right, guys. Well, I guess we can conclude the podcast. I think I found it very enlightened with all your opinions. I appreciate you giving the time and energy. Hopefully, we do
Thank you
another
for
one.
hosting once again, Lucy.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you.
Hopefully, we do another one in a
Really
few months.
appreciate your questions, your methods of conducting interviews with many people. I think you're really good at it, and I'm always happy to chime in and listen to what everyone has to say.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. We'll see you next time, and good night.
And all my fangirls out there, you know where to leave the love letters and all.
All right, guys. Good night. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Satan.
Bye.
Have a
All
good
right,
one,
bye.
Lucy.